good evening or whenever. Well, today our little chat is to do with a certain 60s band, what is still going now, but only two members of the original lineup is still alive. So this is the one of their albums, and it is called Odds and Sods. And as you can tell, if I can bring it closer to you, it's The Who. The famous 60s rebel band. This one was released in 1974 with the original drummer. As you can see, there he is. You can pick him up. Keith Moon. Bit of a rebel. He was a bit of a wild man, but a brilliant drummer. But they lost him quite young because he was a drinker. He made friends with Oliver Reeve. Well, we'll come to that part when we come to talk about the movie. Now, our next one is The Who, Who's Next. And this one had one of their famous hits, Barbara O'Reilly, which is one of their brilliant and excuse my cough, and another one of their greatest tracks from this album was Won't Be Fooled Again. And if the camera can pick up the back of it, there they are with old Moon. His nickname is Moon the Loon, and John Entwistle. Now the only people who are still alive is Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. Now, this next one is they actually made a film called The Kids Are All Right. So this was, I don't know when this came out. But this is like all the early stuff. My Generation, Can't Explain, Happy Jack, I Can See for Miles, Magic Boss, Long Live and Rock, Anyway, Any Hour and Anywhere, Young Man's Blues, My Wife, Barbara O'Reilly, A Quiet One, Tommy, Can You Hear Me, Spark, Pinball Wizard, See Me, Feel Me. And then that's because this was a four track album, four albums, and that's, you know, Joined Together, Roadrunner, My Generation, Melody, and Won't Be Fooled Again. And this came out 1979, so this was after Keith had passed away. Now, our next one, I was talking about, this is Tommy, the rock opera, what they did. And if you can see the movie and that's when the album Keith met Oliver Reeve and they become drinking partners. they was outrageous. They tried to drink each other out of the under the table, and Keith, Keith outdrunk Oliver because he they was at his house and down the garden at his pub, and they was drinking shorts, and Oliver had passed out, and Keith was said, "Oh, I'm going to the pub." So this is Tommy, and one of the other people, well, quite a few famous people was in it. Elton John was in it. Here's the lineup. So you had Anne-Margaret, Oliver Reed, Roger Daltrey as Tommy, Elton John as the Pinball Wizard. Guest appearances was with Eric Clapton, John Entwistle, Keith Moon, and Paul Nicholas. Jack Nicholas was in it, Robert Powell, Pete Townsend, Tina Turner was in it, and The Who. Of course, The Who was in it. Because it was to do with them, and that is Tommy. This is an 8-track. Another one what was made into a film was, if the camera can pick it up, it's Quadrophenia. That was about Brighton and the Mods and the Rockers, and that film starred Sting. So later in the 80s, 1981, I got to see them and they brought in the drummer from Small Faces. I don't know if he got his name somewhere. Bear with me while I try and find if they got his. Can't see his name, but he was the drummer from Small Faces. He was sort of like a replacement from Keith, but that's him on the bottom. But he wasn't so good. They couldn't really replace Keith Moon because he was so outrageous and that. The last album they did with Keith before he died in 1977 was, I think it was Who's Next, and the last single was Who Are You? And there are videos of that track. So sadly, we lost Keith so young in the mid-70s, but later because the Who continued, but they did have their success, but they never found a drummer that fitted in just as right as Keith Moon, because Keith Moon was a legend. He was mad, outrageous, but he could drum. Keith's one big wish was to be a drummer for the Beach Boys, because he was a mad Beach Boys fan. Can you imagine Keith Moon being with the Beach Boys? How Moon was playing in that, and the stunts he did. He on stage, the one little stunt they did was they used to smash up their guitars and that, and blow everything. And the amount of times Pete had to repair his guitar, and the one little trick Keith did one time was he put a load of explosion inside the drum kit, and he put a bit too many, and when it exploded, it slightly damaged Pete Townshend's ears drums, so he was affected by that. So, and another story, they was going to the airport, and Keith said, "I forgot something at the hotel." So they turned round, went back to the hotel. He went back to the room they stayed in. Next minute, you saw this TV got thrown out of the window. And lo and behold, that was Keith Moon who done that. That was one of his many stunts and that. And the house what he had, he even drove his white Rolls Royce into his swimming pool. But they never found it till after he sold the house and that. He was a brilliant drummer, but really wild and that. And this is my little chat about the Who. Well, that's their earlier last. Well, that is one of the latest ones. They did do a few albums and that, and they still tour. Pete Townsend and Roger still tour as the Who, because they lost John Entwistle in 2014 or 15. They found him passed out dead in a hotel and that. I don't know the reason for it and that. So here's my little chat about the Who, and I hope you like it if you're a Who fan. I hope you appreciate my little chat and showing bits of the Who and that, and the albums and information about them. And I'm going to leave it now, and whenever you watch this, and I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want to subscribe and follow my adventures, you're more than welcome. It's up to you. And press the thumbs up, notification, and stay tuned for more. And I wish you farewell for now. So from me to say now, I'll say goodbye.